Hello guys, today we're going to be reviewing section 2.2 of IB Business Management, Organizational Structure. So firstly, what is an organizational structure? So basically organizational structure is a structure that depicts the reporting relationships within an organization. So basically who reports to who. All levels of an organization are depicted and the chart shows who reports to whom down to the least senior level of employees in the organization. So this is it basically. It depicts how, for example, the junior reports to the assistant reports to the marketing executive, the marketing executive reports to the CEO, and then here you have the personal assistant of the CEO. But again, you have to remember the personal assistant of the CEO is not part of the organizational chart. So keep that in mind. But yeah. So to continue, we need to go over a hierarchy. What is a hierarchy? So a hierarchy is a system organizing or ranking people according to their importance of power. Now, we need to keep in mind that everything highlighted in lilac or light purple is a keyword that has to be memorized in the IB business management syllabus. So keep that in mind. So basically, importance of power, meaning the authority they have. Levels of hierarchy. So basically, the levels of hierarchy are how many levels of responsibility there are in a business. So basically, each level indicates a level of seniority, meaning power. Seniority is basically power. Each hierarchy indicates a line of managers. So basically, a line of managers are people who have authority to make decisions and bear responsibility for the outcomes of decisions. So basically, with authority comes responsibility, meaning that whether the decision made was a success or not, the senior manager who executed this decision will be responsible for the outcome. And each hierarchy indicates a level of managers, like I previously mentioned. And you have to keep in mind that personal assistant of CEO is not included in the level of hierarchy, like I previously mentioned. The employee is known as a staff employee. So basically, someone with the authority to communicate decisions. So they don't have the authority to make the decision, they have the authority to communicate it, made by the CEO without the responsibility for the decision. So basically, the personal assistant, what they do is that they communicate the decision. Basically, once the CEO makes a decision, the only thing that the personal assistant has to do, so they're basically their task, is to just communicate this decision, but they're not responsible for the outcome whatsoever. Other types of staff managers are secretaries and administrative staff. So now, what is a chain of command? So a chain of command is the official hierarchy in an organization. The chain of command indicates who reports to which manager and which manager has the authority over which specific employees. So let's say manager X has authority over employees 1, 2, and 3. Manager Y has authority over employees 4, 5, and 6. So this is what we're trying to say, in other words, in more complex words. So basically commands are decisions that travel from the top of an organization downwards. Basically, if you want to look at the organizational structure to kind of understand the flow of things. So let's say the CEO makes a decision is communicated by the personal assistant of the CEO, then the personal assistant communicates it to all of the executives. Let's say the marketing executive communicates it to their assistant, and their assistants communicates it to the junior. So basically, we know that they have the most authority. The CEO has the most authority because they bear the responsibility for the biggest decisions. Then the marketing executive bears the second most authority, then the assistant. So the more it goes downwards in the hierarchy. And here, this is the chain of command because, for example, the marketing executive is in charge of these assistants, but the HR executive is in charge of these two. So you can just see the chain of command. Now, the span of control. So the number of people reporting to a specific manager. A wide span of control means many people are reporting to the manager, and a narrow span of control means a small number of people are reporting to the manager. So just keep that in mind. Narrow, small. Just say narrow. Narrow is better. But basically, wide and narrow are the keywords. And so let's say a executive has 5 employees reporting to them. That's a narrow span of control compared to a executive who has 20 employees reporting to them. So that's more of a wide span of control. So then you have delegation. So delegation is assigning authority or responsibility over specific tasks from one person, a manager, lower to someone in the organizational chart. So we're gonna go back to the organizational chart. So let's say the finance executive assigns this responsibility to the assistant. So here they're assigning a, a task or assignment to someone lower in the hierarchy. Delegation is more likely to occur when the span of control is wide, meaning that the executive has many employees working for them or assistants or whatnot. So now centralization. So centralization is when when personnel at the main or central office of the business have the authority for decision making. Personnel not in the central office implement decisions made, right? So basically, the ones in the central office are the ones who make decisions, and then the personnel that are not in the central office, so they are outside the central office, are the ones who execute these decisions. Centralization can occur at one location when senior management retain all key decision making functions for themselves and delegate little or no decision-making authority to others. This type of organizational structure is usually associated with the business having many levels of hierarchy and narrow spans of control, so that the key managers can keep more effective control of their subordinates. And delegation rarely happens in such an organization, and leadership is more likely to be autocratic. So basically, we know that it occurs at one location, and the senior management, they basically make all decisions, and they don't give any decision making to others, and this is why the leadership is autocratic, meaning that the leader, they have full authority and they don't consult in other employees lower in the organizational structure for their opinions, and we're going to talk about that more in the next section. So yeah, now we have decentralization. So decentralization is decision-making authorities delegated outside the office from the main or central control of the office. So basically, it's kind of, if you want to keep it in simple terms, the opposite of centralization. So the key decisions are made outside of the central office. Managers in regions or outlying offices have authority for decisions that are made. For many of the tactical and operational decisions, we discussed this in the previous section, associated with businesses having fewer levels of hierarchy. So basically, here in the centralization, they have more levels of hierarchy and more narrow spans of control, meaning that managers are responsible for less employees, let's say. And in the decentralization, it's quite the opposite. Like I previously mentioned, they have wider spans of control. So the manager allows greater freedoms for their subordinates. That's where the subordinates, they have like more freedom, I guess, more space. Delegation is more likely to happen in organizations as and leadership where it's democratic, meaning that once a decision is made, the employees are consulted, their opinion is taken into consideration. Then you have bureaucracy. So bureaucracy is basically relevant importance of rules and procedure. An organization that is bureaucratic has many rules and procedures and set way of things being done. So basically, when there's bureaucracy, the rules are followed in a really, really, really rigid manner. In other words, so personal initiative, flexible thinking, and delegation are not expected. So basically, they do not really encourage creativity. Things are done a specific way, a certain way, and this is how they're supposed to be done. There's no room or space for the employee to add a personal touch. They just have to follow whatever is asked of them. Organizational structures associated with businesses that are well established and have been operating for many years. This is not a very important note, just know it. Just this is just to help you understand, but it's not really a key note. As such, they have many levels of hierarchy. Typically, such organizations require paperwork to get tasks completed and red tape. So basically, red tape is rules and checks to show that procedures have been correctly followed. Because again, in these type of bureaucratic organizations, the leadership and the way things are done, and the culture of the business is very rigid. So now delayering. So delayering is the process of removing levels of hierarchy in an organization. So basically, the aim of delayering is to make an organization less democratic, by improving its efficiency, by making it less of a bureaucratic. It's associated with businesses that are well established and have been operating for many years. As a result, they are more likely to build layers of hierarchy because they have a very complex operations, and their operations really go through a lot of stages. Um, Delayering is intended to reduce bureaucracy and increase decision making of middle managers, like I previously mentioned. So when there is bureaucracy, the employees are not really consulted. The middle managers just follow the orders of those above them in the hierarchy. But when delayering takes place, the opposite starts happening. So if you want to think about it as delayering just removes bureaucracy, to just think of the opposite of bureaucracy to a certain extent, usually decreases cost of the business as you don't have to employ as many level managers. So this is not in all cases, but it is in most cases. Matrix structure. So matrix structure typically exists in contexts where projects and project completion require involvement from people with different expertise from different areas of the organization. So basically either HR, marketing operations, or finance. So yeah, in matrix structure, people work in these teams and report to these people with different expertise. Thus, they report to more than one person while doing their job. Matrix organization is complex and ambiguous as people on a team effectively have many bosses, such as project managers and individuals from function areas. So here you have to think about it in a way where different expertise. So we know that business management, for example, you have human resources, which is the topic we're doing now. You have finance, we have marketing, and we have operations. So just think of it that way. Now, we need to go to the types of organization chart. So you have taller vertical organizations. So basically, they're the kind of traditional organization form. So basically, what's their feature? They have many levels of hierarchy. They have narrow spans of control, meaning that, for example, a manager is not in charge of many employees. And this centralized decision making, so this is like a review, is basically when the employees, well, actually, like those who make the decision in the central office, and then the decision is implemented outside the central office. Long chain of command, autocratic leadership, meaning that employees, lower level managers, they have less power, they're not consulted, and limited delegation. Whereas flat or horizontal organizational structures, they're quite the opposite. They have few levels of organizations, which is why they are flat or horizontal. So this kind of explains their shape. They have wider spans of control. They have decentralized decision making, which is when the decision is made outside the central office and it's implemented inside the central office. Shorter chains of command, so it does not have to go through as many people, individuals, employees. Democratic leadership, increased delegation. So more space for the employees, more space for creativity. Then you have organization structured by hierarchy. So basically that's by power. Individuals at the top have more hierarchy, which is power and seniority, than those below them. You can see this in the figure next to it. So senior managers, middle managers, junior managers, supervisors, workers. So it just explains by like their responsibility, their power. Organization structure by function, so presented by function. So it basically just showcases what the employees do, the role. The employees are grouped by departments. They will be organized by seniority. So here you have like all the departments in the business, and you have the seniority. So here you have like maybe the executive, then down you have the employees. Then you have organization structure by product. Okay, guys, sorry, this isn't moving by product. So this presents an organization structure of what the business produces. So this is just an example. So for example, a business can be like it just can be like um like a school supply store. So here you have pencils, here you have books, here you have rulers, here you have like sharpeners. So this is just an example. By region, so according to where the business operations are, this is a very good figure. Changes in organizational structure. So basically you have project-based organization. So what is project-based organization? It's an organizational form often similar to basic structure that organizes work into projects. Thus, project-based organizations create temporary systems for carrying out different projects. So they have more flexible and responsive to market demands, have project managers who run teams of employees focusing on individual projects. After the project is completed, the team is split up and is reassembled to begin another project. The teams do not need to interact with each other. Each team borrows members of different departments to complete the different projects. So it's not completely like they just end up mixing the members, the employees of the business, basically, to complete these projects. You have Shamrock organization. So basically, Shamrock organization is an organization structured based on upon the human resources expert. Sorry, this is not export. This is expert. Charles Handy, who modeled the structure of the Shamrock. A Shamrock organization has three types of employees. So the full-time professional core. So they work for the business only. This is their full-time job. Flexible labor force and contractual outsourced group. So contractual outsourced group is basically those that are brought outside from the business. For example, you have a wedding organizer business. They bring, for example, a food company like a catering business, which are like outsourced, so they're not from the business, so they're from outside the business. This way, the actual wedding planning company or business can focus on the peripheral activity, which is their core activities, instead of focusing on other activities such as culinary activities. So this just helps the business focus on their actual peripheral activities. Again, remember that peripheral is a very important keyword from the IB syllabus. So use the word peripheral activities of the business is very important. It's a keyword. So this model suggests that the business can reduce costs. So remember that. Gain competitive advantage, increase response by trimming their workforce to retain only a multi-skilled core, which is concerned with the delivery of product or service. So basically, the whole point of the Shamrock organization is to make sure that the delivery and of the product and service is at its most best, it's at its highest quality possible. The first leaf of Shamrock represents core managers, technicians, employees essential to the business, basically. So these are employees that are part of the business, which is why they're called core. The second is basically contractual fringe because non-core activities are subcontracted to specialist businesses, like I just gave you the example. This is the second one. And temporary is basically part-time workers, temporary workers, seasonal workers. So for example, if the business needs workers just in the winter time or just for part-time, just for temporary. Appropriateness of different business structures or different organizational structures. Executive structures, their executive structure, their structure in a way that will maximize their objective of the business, which will basically make sure that the business like mission and vision statement are on point, and the image of the business is great. So always remember, guys, you have to link this to the keywords um of the actual business itself. As objective change or external conditions change, executives rethink how they organize their business and restructure. So basically, this is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye. If you have any questions, comment down below. The link to my Google Classroom will be below, so you can access any notes. And soon, the IB Excellence Academy will be opening, where I'll be offering IB classes, personalized IB classes, and crash courses before the exams, so you can ace your exams. Or there are other programs such as pre-IB programs to prepare for the IB programs, or mid-IB student-led revision. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye bye.